So recently I read Oyasumi Punpun, also known as Goodnight Punpun in English. And goddamn, it was one hell of a roller coaster. I binged the entire series, 150 chapters, in like 4 or 5 days, and boy, it was one hell of a fucking ride. Punpun has been on my to-read list for a really long time now. I never got around to reading it because I was busy reading other things, but recently I was listening to podcasts like Trash Taste and Rant Cafe, and they mentioned Punpun, so I was like, you know what, I might as well give it a try. How bad can it be? And I went into the story with the full expectation that it would be extremely sad and depressing, and that is what I got. So the story started off kind of wholesome. And of course, there was a little bit sad at moments and some weird things happened. But for the first 50 or so chapters, while Punpun was still like in elementary school or something, it was relatively wholesome. He was like starting to fall in love with this other girl, and things seemed to be happy for like a moment. And as I was reading the first couple chapters, I was like, wow, yeah, of course there is sadness, but this isn't as sad as people say it is. And as you continue reading, the story just slowly descends into madness. It turns into just depression and despair. After chapter 50 or so, the story starts to get really dark, and lots of fucked up things start happening. Of course, I don't remember what chapter exactly when things started to get weird, but I'm just like estimating around chapter 50. And honestly, I want to say a controversial opinion here. This story is not as sad as people say it is. I didn't even cry once. Okay, hear me out. I'm not trying to brag that I'm a man and I don't cry while reading sad stories. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not a man at all. But I'm just trying to say this story, I don't think it's sad per se. I think it's more depressing and makes you feel hopeless. But it's not really sad. I don't know if you kind of understand what I'm saying, but like the story makes you feel depression. As I was reading the story, I just felt depressed and like really sad, but I didn't feel like the type of sad that I would cry. I don't know if that makes sense. The story is very sad and depressing, but I don't think it's the kind of sadness that would make you cry. I think it just makes you really feel hopeless. It makes you feel as if the world is a really dark place. That's how I felt, but like it might be different for everyone else. The story starts off really weirdly because like Punpun is an elementary school kid. He's really young and he's like falling in love and stuff at a really young age. And when I was that young, I was not that mature enough to fall in love with other people, okay? I was really an idiot. And the story got really weird and everyone's so horny and sexual. It was weird. Like the story, and throughout the entire story, everyone is so fucking horny. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not true, because everyone in real life is fucking horny. But like, damn. But they really portrayed real life people really well, because people are fucking horny after all. And everyone in this story is very flawed. Everyone is a flawed character. None of them are good people. Take Punpun, for example. He's not a good person. If you read further into the story, you start to realize he becomes a bit of a dick. Like, Punpun is a bad person. Like, he's not a good person by many means. He does a lot of fucked up things. But I can't bring myself to hate him. Like, I'm not even annoyed at him. Because, like, he's gone through some serious shit that I could never understand. He's suffered so much. And I would never be able to understand that suffering. And it's not just Punpun. Everyone in this story is fucked up in a way. The uncle is really weird. He's like attracted to younger girls and stuff. Yeah. Like, and the mother as well. Punpun's mother, she's also fucked up. She's crazy as hell. But when she's dying and she's like, when she actually loves Punpun though. Even though she doesn't show it or whatever. And the dad as well, how he was really abusive to the wife and neglected Punpun. I couldn't hate him either because like, I just don't know. Like, you kind of sympathize with them despite how much of a dick they are. But that's just how I felt. Because I know there are a lot of people who hated some of the characters. Because in the comments of the site I was reading on, there is so much trash talking on those sites, man. The comment sections of any websites are absolutely beautiful. So much shit talking. It's beautiful. But speaking of being annoyed, I got kind of annoyed and pissed at some moments in the story. Like, throughout the story, there are like a couple times where these characters would have a speech or a rant and they're forcing their ideology onto Punpun. Like, there's this one time, I don't know exactly when it happened, but there's this guy who's like insulting Punpun, saying society doesn't need losers like Punpun. And Punpun needs to try hard or whatever. I don't exactly remember. But that part feels so forced. I know it's done to make Punpun develop, but those kind of speeches feel really weird. They're like talking about society and forcing their beliefs and ideology onto other people. I do not like that. I do not like it when people force their beliefs onto others. And like, I got kind of mad when they kept insulting Punpun for even though he was trying his best. Like, they know nothing about Punpun, that they keep fucking insulting him and like forcing their beliefs onto him. Like, get a life. Not everyone's experiences are the same. And like, those parts just got me kind of pissed. Like, and like, they keep talking about society, but I can't take them seriously because whenever I look at our society, everyone's a fucking idiot. If you just take a look at Twitter, you'll know how idiotic society is. And but that beside, I'm sure it's just my problem that I got mad or whatever. I'm sure the author didn't actually mean anything he says. Well, maybe he does mean it partially, but I'm sure he's only doing that for the sake of developing Punpun. Like, I'm not too mad. I'm just kind of annoyed. And also, speaking of weird people and forcing ideology, there is that weird good vibration guy, the guy who thought that he was God or something. The good vibration guy was kind of weird. I didn't really get his purpose in the story. He really didn't affect Punpun at all. I'm sure there's a good reason why the author put him in the story, but I don't really get him. Maybe it's because I'm not a deep guy. I'm just a very simple surface level guy, and I didn't understand him. But I didn't dislike him either, because like, he was there. He was kind of cool-ish. He's not a bad person, but he is a bit delusional. Let's be real. He's delusional. And he was just there, honestly. And it was really weird when they started like focusing on him. I didn't really get those parts, and I kind of felt bored at those parts. But that's just me, I guess. And I didn't really understand the ending of the story either. I knew that he went through some serious shit and stuff happened, but the final chapter, or the final two chapters, they switched the point of perspective to another person as well. I'm pretty sure it was Punpun's like childhood friend. I don't really get why they changed perspectives. I don't get what happened in the last chapter. I didn't really get the ending either. Maybe it's because I'm too dumb to understand. After all, I am a pretty dumb person. So I didn't really get what happened there. And I just really awkward. It ended off on a weird note that I didn't understand. That kind of ruined it for me. And like, not ruined the entire story, but kind of ruined the mood for the end. But overall, it was a great story. And also, at the end, Punpun, like, he saw God. Like, throughout the entire story, he sees God. And like, this God figure was relevant throughout the entire story, even to the end. And for some reason, I don't know why, I thought that God was supposed to be the author. Like, I like, throughout the story, as I was reading, within like the first couple times that I saw him, I thought that that was just a picture of God. I mean, a picture of the author as God. I thought that the author inserted himself into the story as God. But then later, when I searched up how the author looked like, he looked nothing like that. And I was like, I looked back, I was like, wait, why the fuck did I think that God was supposed to be the author? I don't know why, I just naturally assumed that the God in the story was actually the author. Yeah, I don't know why I thought that, but I'm an idiot. So overall, this story was great. I really liked it, and I actually enjoyed this story despite how depressing and sad it is. And it's actually a pretty fun read. So yeah, it was a fun read. These are just my thoughts as I read Goodnight Punpun. It was a really great story. Also, I forgot to mention, but like Punpun's kind of cute. Like no homo, but like him as a little bird is kind of cute, you know. I didn't like it when he grew up because he looked more like human and he looked really weird. It was as if he became an anime villain. But him as a younger kid, like in his bird form, was kind of cute. It looked like a doodle I drew one time. But yeah, well that's about it, I guess. That's the end of the video. Yeah, not really much left to say. Goodbye. Well, instead of saying goodbye, I should say good night.